The destruction of home. In a galaxy teeming with life, few places matched the bioluminescent beauty of Zephyra. The twin moons cast an ethereal glow across the landscape, reflecting off shimmering flora that pulsed with an inner life force. The Zeons, inhabitants of this vibrant world, revered their planet as a living entity, drawing their psionic powers from its rich essence. Cher stood at the edge of a crystalline cliff, her long silver hair dancing in the wind. Below, the vast expanse of her home colony spread like a tapestry woven with the soft glow of Zeon buildings that blended seamlessly with nature. Yet, the beauty surrounding her did little to soothe the storm raging within. She clenched her fists, sharp nails digging into her palms, as memories of her parents' deaths flashed through her mind like a haunting specter. Her parents were respected warriors of the Clan of the Sun, known for their fierce loyalty and mastery of psionics. They had perished defending their world from the human invaders, leaving Cher an orphan in a society that valued strength above all. At a tender age, she had been thrust into a brutal reality. Forced to grow up quickly under the guidance of clan elders, she honed her psionic abilities, becoming one of the most promising young warriors of her generation. Yet, no training could extinguish the flames of vengeance burning in her heart. The hatred she harbored for the humans was deep-rooted and justified. They claimed to seek peace, but acted with conquest in their hearts, prioritizing technology over life. The scars of war were fresh in the minds of her people, and Cher couldn't forget the pain they had inflicted. As she stood there, a sudden tremor beneath her feet jolted her from her thoughts. Looking up, she spotted a flash of light streaking across the sky, followed by others. Her heart raced. A space battle was unfolding above her world. With her psionic abilities stretching out like invisible tendrils, she sensed the dread presence of the Dren, a predatory species known for their insatiable hunger for life force. They were massive serpentine beings encased in impenetrable armor, and Zephyra was their next banquet. Without a moment to waste, Cher sprinted toward the colony, her feet barely touching the ground as she propelled herself forward with telekinesis. The once peaceful colony was now a war zone, with warriors scrambling to defend their home. Cher joined the fray, her psionic powers flaring to life as she sent a wave of telekinetic force crashing into a Dren ship. The vessel spiraled out of control, crashing to the ground in a deafening roar. But for every Dren ship she brought down, 2 more replaced it. The colony's defenses were faltering, energy shields flickering under relentless assault. Gritting her teeth, Cher pushed herself to the limit, feeling the strain on her mind and body. She would fight until her last breath to protect her people. Just as she was about to launch another attack, a shockwave rippled through the air, knocking her off her feet. Dazed, she looked up to see a massive Dren warship descending toward the colony, weapons glowing ominously. Before she could react, a sleek black ship streaked through the sky, firing a barrage of lasers at the Dren vessel. Her heart skipped a beat as she recognized the ship's design. It was human. Her initial shock quickly morphed into anger. What were the humans doing here? Were they there to finish what they had started? As the ship swooped down, Cher scrambled to her feet, ready to fight. But before she could react, the ship's hatch opened, and a figure emerged. "Get in," a voice shouted over the chaos. Cher froze, locking eyes with the human pilot. He was tall, with short-cropped dark hair and piercing blue eyes. His face was hardened by years of battle, yet there was an urgency in his expression that momentarily halted her rage. "Get in now," he repeated, his voice commanding. Conflicted emotions swirled within her. This was a human, the very being she had sworn to hate. Yet something in his eyes, a strange connection, held her back. She hesitated, her instincts screaming at her to flee, to fight. But as she gazed into his eyes, she sensed a sincerity that made her pause. He wasn't her enemy, not in this moment. Reluctantly, she took a step forward, then another, until she was within reach of the ship. The human extended his hand, and after a brief moment of doubt, she took it. As soon as she was aboard, the hatch slammed shut, and the ship rocketed into the sky, leaving the chaos of battle behind. Inside, the silence was deafening, contrasting starkly with the tumult outside. She felt the vibrations of the engines beneath her feet, propelling them away from her dying world. Her heart ached at the thought of the destruction she had left behind, and anger bubbled within her, directed at the man who now sat at the controls. Jace, as he introduced himself, was focused on the holographic display in front of him, moving his hands with practiced ease over the controls. His calm demeanor only fueled She's resentment. How could he be so composed when her world was burning? "What are you doing here?" She demanded, her voice sharp. "Why are you helping us?" Jace glanced at her, his blue eyes unreadable. "I was sent to investigate the Dren threat. When I picked up the distress signal from your colony, I knew I had to intervene." "Intervene?" She echoed, incredulity spilling over. "My people are dying, and you think you can just intervene? Where were you when the humans attacked us? Where were you when my parents died?" Jace's jaw tightened, and for a moment, She thought she saw a flicker of pain in his eyes. But he quickly masked it, returning his focus to the controls. "I'm not here to defend what happened during the war," he said quietly. "I'm here to stop it from happening again." Her anger flared again. "And why should I believe you? You're a human, a killer, just like the rest of them." Jace didn't respond immediately. Instead, he guided the ship through evasive maneuvers, dodging debris that littered the atmosphere. She watched him, her emotions a whirlwind of hatred, confusion, and something else she couldn't quite identify. Finally, Jace spoke, his voice laced with intensity. "Do you think you're the only one who's lost people? I've seen friends and family die because of this war. I've made choices that haunt me every day. But sitting here, trading blame, isn't going to bring them back." She stared at him, her anger momentarily eclipsed by the raw emotion in his words. She could feel the sincerity in his voice, the weight of guilt pressing down on him like a heavy shroud. It was an emotion she understood all too well, but she wasn't ready to let go of her hatred. Not yet. It had kept her going all these years, giving her purpose. "What do you want from me?" she asked, her voice cold. "I want to stop the Dren," Jace replied, his tone firm. "I don't know why they're here, but I know they're not working alone. There's something else going on, and if we don't figure it out, more people, your people, my people, are going to die." She's mind raced as she processed his words. She didn't want to believe him, didn't want to acknowledge the possibility that the Dren could be part of a larger conspiracy. But the strange connection between them, the inexplicable bond, made it impossible to dismiss him outright. "What do you suggest we do?" she asked, skepticism still lacing her voice. Jace glanced at her, a hint of relief in his eyes. "First, we need to find out where the Dren are coming from and what their objective is. If we can uncover their plans, we might be able to stop them before they do any more damage." She nodded slowly, her anger beginning to ebb as she considered the gravity of the situation. "And then," she pressed. Jace's expression darkened. "Then we do whatever it takes to stop them." The following hours were a blur of tense activity as She and Jace worked side by side. Their truce was fragile but held firm. They scoured the star maps for clues to the Dren's origins, using She's psionic abilities to scan for traces of the enemy fleet. Despite the grim situation, She felt a begrudging respect for Jace's skills. He was a masterful pilot, guiding the ship through the vastness of space with precision and care. As they neared the edge of Xian space, their sensors picked up a faint signal, an energy signature matching the Dren's unique psionic resonance. It was coming from a remote moon on the outskirts of the system, a desolate place few ventured. "That's our lead," Jace said, narrowing his eyes as he studied the data. "We need to check it out." She nodded, already preparing herself for the battle ahead. "Let's go." They approached the moon cautiously, using the ship's stealth systems to avoid detection. As they descended through the thin atmosphere, She reached out with her mind, probing the area for signs of life. What she sensed made her blood run cold. The moon was teeming with Dren ships, their energy signatures pulsing like malevolent hearts. But there was something else, something darker and more sinister lurking beneath the surface. "This isn't just a Dren outpost," Shur said, her voice low and tense. "There's something else here, something powerful." Jace's expression grew serious. "We need to find out what it is. If it's connected to the attacks, it could be the key to stopping them." They landed the ship in a secluded canyon, hidden from view by jagged cliffs. As they exited, Shur couldn't shake the feeling of being watched, of unseen eyes tracking their every move. They made their way toward the entrance of the outpost, keeping to the shadows. The air was thick with tension, and Shur's senses were on high alert, her psionic abilities primed to strike at a moment's notice. The entrance was heavily guarded, with Dren sentries patrolling the perimeter. Shur and Jace exchanged a glance, a plan forming wordlessly between them. They needed to take out the guards quickly and silently. Jace signaled for Shur to move into position, and she nodded, slipping into the shadows. Approaching the nearest sentry, she reached out with her mind, targeting its neural pathways. With a single thought, she sent a wave of psionic energy surging through its body, shutting down its systems in an instant. The sentry crumpled to the ground, lifeless. Moving on to the next target, she repeated the process with deadly efficiency. By the time she was done, the perimeter was clear, and Jace was waiting for her at the entrance. "Impressive," he murmured, admiration flickering in his eyes. Shur ignored the comment, focusing instead on their task. They entered the outpost, their footsteps echoing in dimly lit corridors. The walls were lined with strange, organic-looking machinery that pulsed with a sickly green light, and the air was thick with the scent of decay. A shiver ran down Shur's spine as they moved deeper into the outpost. They came across a control room filled with consoles and holographic displays. Shur's eyes were drawn to one of the displays, which showed a map of the surrounding star systems. Her heart sank as she recognized the symbols, markings indicating the locations of Zeon and human colonies. "They're planning their attacks from here," Jace said, his voice tight with anger. "They've been systematically targeting our colonies, weakening our defenses." Shur felt a surge of rage as she studied the map. This wasn't just random attacks. It was a calculated campaign against both their peoples. But there was something else on the map, something that made her blood run cold. "These coordinates," she said, pointing to a cluster of symbols near the edge of the map. "They're Zeon, but they're not Dren." Jace frowned, narrowing his eyes. "You're right. These aren't Dren. They're from your own government." Shur's heart pounded as the realization dawned on her. Someone in the Zion government is working with the Dren. They're using them to weaken our defenses and eliminate their rivals. Jace's expression darkened. A rogue faction, maybe. They're playing both sides against each other, hoping to come out on top. Shur's mind raced as she processed the implications of their discovery. Her people were being betrayed from within, their lives sacrificed for the ambitions of a few. The thought made her stomach churn. "We have to stop this," she said, her voice trembling with anger. "We can't let them get away with it." Jace nodded, grim determination in his eyes. "We need to get this information back to our governments. It's the only way to expose the conspiracy and prevent a full-scale war." Shur took a deep breath, steeling herself for the challenges ahead. "Then let's go." Getting out of the outpost was easier said than done. As they retraced their steps through the winding corridors, Shur felt the tension mounting. The air seemed to throng with danger, as if the walls themselves were closing in on them. They were almost at the exit when the alarms blared, shattering the silence. The outpost was suddenly alive with activity, Dren soldiers pouring out like ants defending their nest. "Run!" Jace shouted, drawing his blaster and firing at the oncoming wave of enemies. Shur didn't need to be told twice. She sprinted ahead, her psionic abilities flaring as she deflected incoming fire and sent debris crashing down on the pursuing Dren. The exit was just ahead. If they could reach the ship, they might still have a chance. They burst out of the outpost into the open air, the ship's hatch already open and waiting. Jace covered their retreat, laying down suppressing fire as Sher scrambled aboard. As soon as they were inside, Jace sealed the hatch and sprinted to the cockpit. The engines roared to life, and the ship lifted off the ground, blasting into the sky with a burst of speed. But the Dren were hot on their heels. Through the cockpit viewports, Sher could see enemy ships closing in on them, weapons charging for another volley. The chase. As the sleek ship tore through the vast expanse of space, Jace's focus was unyielding. The stars streaked by like distant memories, and the cockpit thrummed with the energy of the engines, a heartbeat pulsing in sync with the urgency of their escape. The Dren ships were relentless, their dark forms closing in like shadows on the horizon, a reminder that danger was never far away. "Can you shake them?" Sher asked, her heart racing with the thrill of fear. She was still trying to comprehend the gravity of the situation, her mind racing with thoughts of her home, her people, and the destruction left in the wake of the Dren invasion. Jace glanced at her, determination etched across his features. "I'll do my best, but we need to get a little distance first." He veered the ship sharply to the right, narrowly avoiding a volley of energy blasts that illuminated the darkness outside like a sudden storm. The ship trembled under the strain as he wrestled with the controls, maneuvering them away from the deadly fire. Sher felt a rush of adrenaline surge through her veins. She was a warrior, trained to face her fears, yet nothing could prepare her for the onslaught they were facing. The ship's instruments beeped and flashed, warning of incoming threats. "They're right behind us," she shouted, a mix of fear and determination in her voice. Jace tightened his grip on the controls, his jaw set in fierce concentration. "We can't let them catch us. If they do, it's over." He swung the ship into a steep dive, heading toward a cluster of asteroids that loomed in the distance. "If we can weave through those rocks, we might be able to lose them." "Let's do it," Sher replied, the urgency of the moment igniting her resolve. As they approached the asteroid field, Jace expertly maneuvered the ship, guiding it through the narrow gaps between massive rocks. Each twist and turn was a test of skill, but Jace was up to the challenge. The ship rattled as it brushed past an asteroid, and Sher could feel her heart in her throat, every near miss pushing her closer to the edge of panic. "Stay sharp," Jace warned, glancing at the rear sensors. "They're still coming." Sher concentrated, reaching out with her psionic abilities to sense the approaching Dren ships. She could feel the pulsating energy of their engines, the desperation in their pursuit. They were driven by primal instincts, the need to conquer and feed. Her hatred for them flared anew, igniting a fire within her that she hadn't felt in years. "Two ships flanking us," she shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. "We need to split them up." Jace nodded, pivoting the ship sharply to the left as they weaved through the rocky terrain. "Hold on," he shouted as he pushed the engines to full throttle. The ship surged forward, gaining speed as they navigated the treacherous field, the asteroids becoming a blur around them. Sher's mind raced, her abilities awakening with a surge of energy. As the first Dren ship barreled into the asteroid field, it collided with a massive rock, bursting into flames. The explosion illuminated the dark void, a brief flash of victory amidst their flight. "One down," Sher exclaimed, a sense of satisfaction washing over her. But their respite was short-lived. The remaining Dren ship, more agile than its counterpart, darted after them, firing energy blasts that crackled through the air. "They're persistent," Jace grunted, focusing intently on navigating the dangerous terrain. "Keep moving. We can't let them catch us," Sher urged, feeling the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. Her people were counting on her. In a moment of inspiration, Sher reached deep within herself, channeling her psionic energy to create a barrier around the ship. "Get ready," she warned as she sent out a pulse of energy toward the pursuing ship. The energy collided with the Dren vessel, causing its systems to flicker and falter. "Nice work," Jace grinned, his confidence growing as he pushed the ship further into the depths of the asteroid field. But the Dren were cunning, and they wouldn't give up easily. The Dren ship, now slightly damaged but still functional, recalibrated its systems, and the pilot's anger surged through the energy trails. Jace swerved, narrowly avoiding another round of fire, but Shur could sense the Dren's fury. It was only a matter of time before they adapted to their maneuvers. "Look out," Shur cried, as another wave of energy shot past them, grazing the ship's hull. The impact sent vibrations through the cockpit, rattling their bones. "We need to make a break for it." Jace nodded, his determination unwavering. "There's a clearing ahead. If we can get through, we might gain some distance." Shur concentrated hard, amplifying her psionic barrier as they barreled toward the clearing. The pressure mounted, her energy ebbing as she sustained the shield. With every blast from the Dren ship, she felt her strength wane. But she couldn't afford to falter now. Too much was at stake. Just as they reached the clearing, the Dren pilot unleashed a final barrage of energy blasts, determined to take them down. "Brace for impact," Jace shouted, throwing the ship into a sharp turn. Shur gritted her teeth, pouring every ounce of her energy into the shield as she felt the blasts hammer against it. They emerged from the rocky chaos into the open space, the stars shining brightly above them. But their respite was short-lived. The Dren ship was still hot on their trail, relentless in its pursuit. "Jace, we need to regroup and plan our next move," Shur said, breathing heavily, her energy reserves almost depleted. "Agreed," he replied, a flicker of concern crossing his face. "But first, we need to shake them off our tail." With a fierce determination, Shur closed her eyes, focusing on the energy around them. She sensed the Dren's approach, that anger palpable in the void. "They're still coming. I can feel them," she exclaimed, her heart racing. "Then let's give them something to think about," Jace shouted, his hands flying over the controls as he executed a series of evasive maneuvers. As they sped through the vastness of space, Shur opened her mind, reaching out with her psionic powers to create a diversion. She concentrated, summoning a burst of energy that exploded in the distance, creating a brilliant flash of light. "Now," Jace commanded, taking advantage of the momentary distraction. He veered the ship sharply, heading toward a nearby planet. The Dren, momentarily thrown off, hesitated, allowing them to gain crucial distance. "Let's hope they take the bait," Shur said, her voice steadying as they descended toward the planet's surface. The lush green landscape below was a stark contrast to the chaos they had just escaped, and a flicker of hope ignited in Shur's heart. "We can use the planet's atmosphere to hide," Jace suggested, expertly navigating through the clouds. "Let's find a safe place to land and regroup." As they descended, the lush terrain began to unfold beneath them. The ship shook slightly as they broke through the clouds, revealing a vibrant ecosystem filled with towering trees and colorful flora. It was a beautiful sight, but Shur couldn't shake the feeling of unease. "Where do we land?" she asked, scanning the landscape for a suitable spot. "There." Jace pointed to a clearing surrounded by dense foliage. "It's well hidden. We can lay low for a while." With deft precision, Jace guided the ship into the clearing, the engines humming softly as they touched down. As the hatch opened, a rush of fresh air flooded the cockpit. Shur stepped out, her senses heightened, ready to react at a moment's notice. "Stay alert," Jace advised, keeping his blaster ready. "We don't know if the Dren will follow us here." Shur nodded, her eyes scanning the surroundings. The lush greenery was filled with life, but it felt eerily quiet. "We need to assess our situation," she said, taking a deep breath to steady herself. "We can't stay here for long." They moved further into the clearing, using the natural cover of the foliage to conceal their presence. Shur could feel her energy returning, albeit slowly. The tranquility of the planet contrasted sharply with the chaos they had just escaped, and it provided a much-needed reprieve. "What's our next move?" Jace asked, glancing at Shur with a mix of concern and curiosity. Shur took a moment to gather her thoughts, feeling the bond between them grow stronger amidst the uncertainty. "We need to figure out who the Dren are working with. There's clearly a larger conspiracy at play, and we need to uncover it before it's too late." Jace nodded, determination rekindling in his eyes. Let's start by analyzing the data we gathered from the outpost. We need to understand their movements and figure out how to counter their plans. With newfound resolve, they set to work, utilizing the ship's equipment to analyze the information. As they sifted through the data, Sher's mind raced with possibilities, each one more daunting than the last. The weight of their mission pressed heavily upon her shoulders, but she was no stranger to adversity. Jace, if we can pinpoint the locations of their next attacks, we might be able to warn our people, she suggested, her voice steady as she focused on the holographic display. Jace leaned closer, studying the data with intensity. There's a pattern here, he said, pointing to several coordinates on the map. They're targeting weak points in both our defenses. If we can intercept them before they attack, we can turn the tide. Sher felt a surge of hope. Then we need to act fast. We can't let them catch us off guard again. As they prepared to leave the safety of their temporary refuge, Sher knew this was only the beginning. The road ahead would be fraught with challenges, but she was ready to face them head-on. With Jace by her side, she felt a flicker of optimism. Together, they would uncover the truth and fight back against the forces threatening their worlds. Let's get to work, Jace said, his voice filled with determination. Sher nodded, her heart set on their mission. They would not only fight for their survival, but for the future of their peoples. The universe was vast and filled with danger, but they were ready to confront it together. Unraveling the conspiracy, with the sun dipping below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the lush landscape, Sher and Jace settled into a rhythm. The quiet of the alien world enveloped them, creating an almost surreal atmosphere as they pored over the holographic displays in their ship. The air buzzed with tension, the stakes higher than ever as they delved into the depths of the conspiracy threatening both their worlds. We need to figure out who is pulling the strings, Sher said, her voice steady but urgent. The Dren are dangerous enough on their own, but if they have support from inside my government, everything is at risk. Jace nodded, his blue eyes narrowing as he analyzed the data. I've seen this kind of betrayal before, he said, his tone somber. A rogue faction can do more damage than any enemy fleet. They'll exploit any weaknesses they find. Sher bit her lip, her thoughts racing. The Zion government had always prided itself on unity and strength, but the war had exposed cracks in their society. Desperation and fear could drive anyone to treachery. If we can find out who is aligned with the Dren, we might be able to cut off their support and turn the tide, she proposed, her determination growing. They scrolled through the data, revealing coordinates of previous Dren attacks, patterns that hinted at strategic planning. Sher's heart sank as she noticed a recurring name among the reports, a high-ranking Zion official known for his push toward aggressive policies against humans. I know this man, she murmured, pointing at the holographic image of the official, Senator Vaughn. He has always been vocal about his disdain for humans. Jace leaned closer, his brow furrowing. Is it possible he's making a deal with the Dren, using them to eliminate his opposition? Sher felt a knot tighten in her stomach. It's not just possible, it's likely. He's been seeking more power, and aligning with the Dren could grant him that. As they studied the data further, Sher felt a growing urgency. We have to gather more evidence. If we confront him without proof, we'll be the ones in danger. Jace nodded, tapping on the console to expand the map. Let's analyze the coordinates of the upcoming attacks. If we can predict where the Dren will strike next, we might find a way to intercept them and gather more information about Vaughn's involvement. With renewed focus, they'd plotted a course based on the Dren's movements, each point representing a potential target. This is it, Jace said, excitement bubbling in his voice. We can set a trap. If we position ourselves strategically, we can ambush the Dren and see who they're meeting with. Sher's heart raced at the thought. But we have to be cautious. If Vaughn is truly in league with the Dren, he will be expecting anyone who poses a threat to him. They quickly laid out a plan, deciding to monitor a location where the Dren had been reported. It was a remote outpost on the fringes of Zion territory, a place where dealings could easily occur without attracting too much attention. "We'll need to gather equipment and weapons," Jace said, glancing at Shur. "Are you ready for this?" Shur took a deep breath, her mind swirling with the implications of what they were about to do. "I've never backed down from a fight," she replied, her resolve solidifying. "If we can expose Vaughn, we can save countless lives." With their plan set, they departed the lush haven of the planet, the ship's engines roaring to life as they blasted into the stars. The vastness of space was daunting, but Shur felt a sense of purpose coursing through her. Together, they would confront the darkness that threatened their worlds. As they approached the remote outpost, Shur's heart raced with anticipation and anxiety. The landscape below was barren, a stark contrast to the vibrant beauty of Zephyra. Jace maneuvered the ship into a hidden alcove, camouflaging it among the rocks. "This should keep us concealed," he said, his eyes scanning the horizon. Shur nodded, stepping out of the ship to get a better view. The air was thick with tension, and she could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her. "Let's set up surveillance," she said, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. "We need to know who is here before we make our move." Jace nodded, quickly retrieving equipment from the ship. They set up cameras and listening devices, ensuring they could monitor the area without being detected. As they worked, Shur's mind wandered to the stakes of their mission. If Vaughn was indeed in league with the Dren, the implications would be devastating. Once the surveillance was set, they huddled over a portable monitor, watching the feed. Time passed slowly as they waited, the tension palpable in the air. Shur felt her heart race with every rustle in the brush, every shadow that crossed their path. "Do you think we're too late?" Jace asked, his voice low as he kept his eyes fixed on the screen. "What if they've already made their deal?" "We can't think like that," Shur replied, determination in her voice. "We have to stay focused. This could be our only chance to gather evidence." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the landscape, a flicker of movement caught Shur's eye. "Look," she exclaimed, pointing toward the feed. "There's someone approaching." On the monitor, a figure emerged from the shadows, cloaked in a dark robe. Shur's heart raced as she squinted, trying to discern the figure's identity. "Is that him?" she whispered, her breath hitching in her throat. Jace leaned closer, his expression tense. "It could be. Let's see if we can get a better angle." They adjusted the cameras, zooming in on the figure as it drew closer to a gathering of Dren's soldiers. Shur felt a chill run down her spine as she recognized the distinct insignia on the Dren's armor. These were not just random warriors, they were elite troops, the vanguard of the Dren invasion. The figure spoke, their voice low and urgent. Shur strained to hear the conversation, her heart pounding in her chest. "We have made significant progress," the cloaked figure said, gesturing to the Dren. "The attacks will continue as planned, and soon the Zeons will be too weak to resist." Shur's blood ran cold. "That's Vaughn," she realized, her heart racing. "He's working with them. We have to record this." Jace quickly activated the recording device, capturing the conversation as Vaughn continued. "Our interests align. The humans are a threat, but they are not our only concern. Once we eliminate the Zeons, we will turn our attention to Earth." "Earth?" Shur echoed, her stomach dropping. "Why would they target Earth?" "Because they know humans have been a thorn in their side for too long," Jace replied, his voice grim. "If Vaughn has any plans to ally with the Dren, it could spell disaster for both our worlds." The conversation continued, and Shur felt a mix of anger and disbelief wash over her. "How can he betray his own people like this?" she muttered, her fists clenching at her sides. "We need to confront him, but we have to be smart about it," Jace warned, glancing at her. "We can't just charge in without a plan. We need evidence to take back to the Zillion Council." Shur nodded, her mind racing. "You're right. We need to gather everything we can. Once we have enough proof, we can expose him." As they continued to listen, Vaughn discussed further details of their plans. "The next attack will be swift," he said, his tone filled with a chilling confidence. "We will strike when they least expect it. And when the time comes, we will not only conquer Zephyr, but we will ensure that the humans will never stand in our way again." Cher felt a surge of determination. "We can't let this happen. We have to warn the Council. They need to know about this betrayal before it's too late." Jace glanced at her, admiration in his eyes. "You're right. We have to act fast. Let's gather more evidence and then plan our next move. But we have to be careful. We don't want to alert Vaughn or the Dren." As they continued their surveillance, Cher felt a renewed sense of purpose. They were not just fighting for their survival, they were fighting for the future of both their peoples. The threat of betrayal hung heavily in the air, but together they would stand against it. Hours passed, and the sun dipped below the horizon, leaving only the faint glow of the stars overhead. Finally, as Vaughn concluded his meeting with the Dren, he turned to leave. Cher knew this was their moment. "Now," she whispered, motioning for Jace to follow. They crept from their hiding spot, hearts pounding as they approached the outpost. Cher could feel the tension in the air, the weight of their mission pressing down on them. They had to confront Vaughn and put an end to his treachery before it was too late. The confrontation. As the dark shadows of the outpost loomed overhead, Cher and Jace crept forward, their hearts pounding in sync with the adrenaline coursing through their veins. The landscape around them was a twisted amalgamation of alien technology and Zeon architecture, a reminder of the war-torn state of their worlds. Vaughn's treachery had to be exposed, and the weight of that necessity hung heavily upon them. "Stay close," Jace whispered, his voice barely audible above the soft rustle of the wind. "We need to find a way to confront Vaughn without alerting the Dren." Cher nodded, her sharp senses on high alert. As they slipped through the corridors of the outpost, she could feel the pulse of the Dren's presence nearby, an ominous force that made her skin crawl. "We should use the ventilation shafts," she suggested, her mind racing. "They'll give us access to the main hall without being detected." Jace glanced around, weighing their options. "Good idea. Let's move." They quickly found a hatch leading to the ventilation system, and with a swift motion, Jace opened it. They crawled into the cramped space, the metallic walls surrounding them echoing the sounds of their breathing. The air was cool and stale, a stark contrast to the tension mounting between them. "Are you ready for this?" Jace asked, glancing at Cher as they navigated through the ducts. "Ready as I'll ever be," she replied, her resolve hardening. She thought of her parents, the warriors who had fought bravely for their people. "We can't let Vaughn continue this betrayal, not after everything we've lost." As they crawled deeper into the shaft, Cher focused her mind, amplifying her psionic abilities to detect any Dren presence below. She could feel the vibrations of their energy signatures, the simmering anger and aggression radiating from them. "They're gathering in the main hall," she whispered. "We need to be cautious." After what felt like an eternity, they reached a vent overlooking the main hall. Cher peered down through the grate, her heart racing as she took in the scene below. The hall was expansive, filled with Dren soldiers and Zeon officials. Vaughn stood at the center, his back turned to them, engrossed in conversation with a particularly menacing Dren commander. "They're planning the next attack," Cher whispered, her heart pounding as she strained to hear their discussion. Jace leaned closer, his expression serious. "We need to capture this moment. If we can record what they're saying, we'll have irrefutable proof of Vaughn's betrayal." Cher nodded, her eyes narrowing as she focused on the conversation below. "Let's get the recording device ready." With a swift motion, Jace activated the small device, its red light blinking softly. They were ready to capture the evidence they needed. As they listened intently, Vaughn spoke, his voice dripping with deceit. "The Zeon people are weak. They will never see it coming. With the Dren's help, we will crush them before they can mount a defense." The Dren commander let out a low, rumbling laugh, its serpentine body coiling with anticipation. "Your people's loyalty to the old ways will be their downfall. The Dren are hungry, and your alliance will sate their appetite." Sher clenched her fists, the anger boiling within her. How can he betray his own people like this? She hissed under her breath. We have to confront him now. Not yet, Jace cautioned, his eyes fixed on the scene below. We need to gather more information. The more we know, the stronger our case will be. Sher swallowed her urge to confront Vaughn. She had to trust Jace's instincts. He was the experienced pilot, and she needed to keep a clear head. Let's keep listening. The conversation continued, and Sher felt the tension in the air intensifying. Vaughn gestured dramatically, his hands slicing through the air. The Dren will attack the eastern colonies first. They're vulnerable, their defenses weakened by the last attack. Once we take them down, the humans will fall in line. What about the humans? The Dren commander asked, its voice a low hiss. They've proven to be resilient. Resilient, yes, but they're also disorganized, Vaughn replied dismissively. They'll be too busy dealing with their own problems to notice the Dren are coming for them. I have planted the seeds of discord among their ranks. By the time we strike, they'll be too fractured to unite against us. Sher felt a mix of horror and determination. Vaughn was manipulating both their peoples, using fear to fuel a devastating alliance with the Dren. This can't happen, she murmured. We have to act now. Jace glanced at her, weighing the risks. I know it's tempting, but we need to be smart. If we confront him now, we risk exposing ourselves and losing the evidence. Just then, a loud crash echoed through the hall, and the atmosphere shifted. A pair of guards burst through the entrance, their voices filled with urgency. Commander, we've detected an unidentified ship near the outpost. They might have come to rescue the Zeons. Vaughn's expression darkened, fury flashing across his face. Fools. Do they not understand the danger they are in? Prepare the troops. We cannot let anyone interfere with our plans. Sher exchanged a quick glance with Jace. This is it. We have to reveal his true intentions, she said, adrenaline surging through her veins. On my signal, Jace whispered, readying the recording device. Vaughn turned his back to the entrance, barking orders to the soldiers. Mobilize the Dren. We will crush anyone who dares to interfere. With a determined nod, Sher whispered, now, and they both kicked the grate loose, sending it crashing to the floor below. The impact echoed through the hall, and all eyes turned toward the source of the noise. Sher and Jace dropped into the room, weapons drawn, adrenaline pumping as they prepared to confront Vaughn. Stop right there, Jace shouted, his blaster aimed at Vaughn. The Dren soldiers shifted, their attention snapping to the intruders, ready to spring into action. Vaughn turned slowly, surprise flashing across his face before it twisted into a sneer. You foolish Zeons, you think you can disrupt my plans. Sher stepped forward, her voice steady despite the tumult of emotions within her. Your plans are over, Vaughn. We know what you're doing, and it ends here. Vaughn laughed, a low, menacing sound that sent shivers down Sher's spine. Do you really think you can threaten me? I'm untouchable. The Dren are my allies now. Sher's resolve hardened. You're betraying your own people. You're nothing but a puppet for the Dren. We have evidence of your treachery, and when the council hears of this, you will face justice. The Dren commander hissed angrily, its form tensing as it prepared to strike. You will pay for your insolence. Jace quickly aimed his blaster at the commander, his eyes narrowing. You'll have to get through us first. With a swift motion, Sher unleashed her psionic energy, sending a shockwave toward the Dren soldiers. The blast knocked several of them off their feet, causing chaos in the hall. The Dren commander stumbled back, its surprise turning into rage. Fools, Vaughn shouted, pulling a hidden weapon from beneath his robe. You think you can stop me? Let's see what you've got, Jace yelled, firing his blaster at Vaughn. The shot narrowly missed as the senator dove behind a console, returning fire. Sher surged forward, harnessing her psionic powers to shield Jace as they pressed their advantage. We have to take him down, she urged, her heart racing. As the chaos unfolded, Sher's mind raced. Vaughn was more dangerous than she had anticipated, and the Dren would not hesitate to retaliate. "We need to gather more evidence before this escalates," she shouted. "Then let's end this quickly," Jace replied, determination flashing in his eyes. He fired another shot, this time striking the console beside Vaughn, sending sparks flying. "Your resistance is futile," Vaughn sneered, a manic glint in his eyes. "The Dren will crush you both." As he prepared to fire again, Sher focused her energy, launching a wave of psionic force toward Vaughn. The blast hit him squarely, knocking him off his feet. He crashed against the ground, the weapon slipping from his grasp. "Now's our chance," Jace shouted, rushing toward Vaughn. Sher followed, her heart racing. "We have to secure him and gather evidence." But just as they reached him, the remaining Dren soldiers regrouped, their anger palpable. "Protect Vaughn," one of them shouted, and they surged toward Sher and Jace. "Fall back," Sher yelled, pushing her psionic shield forward as the Dren charged. The energy barrier flared to life, absorbing their attacks. Jace fired at the advancing soldiers, his blaster barking with each shot. "We need to get out of here," he shouted, urgency thick in his voice. Sher felt her energy waning, but she couldn't give up now. "We have to secure Vaughn," she yelled back, pushing herself to maintain the shield. "He's the key to exposing this entire operation." With a desperate burst of energy, she pushed the Dren soldiers back, buying them a moment of breathing room. Jace seized the opportunity, grabbing Vaughn by the collar and hoisting him up. "You'll regret this," Vaughn spat, anger radiating from him. "I won't be the only one to fall for your treachery." "Shut up," Jace growled, dragging him toward the exit. "We're taking you back to the council, and you're going to explain exactly what you've been doing." But as they neared the exit, the remaining Dren soldiers regrouped, blocking their path. The tension in the air was thick, the fight far from over. Sher could feel the weight of the situation, the stakes rising higher with each passing moment. "We need to fight our way out," Jace shouted, determination flashing in his eyes. Sher nodded, adrenaline surging as they prepared to defend themselves. "On my mark," she yelled, gathering her psionic energy. With a fierce shout, she released the energy in a powerful wave, pushing the Dren soldiers back once again. "Now, Jace." They charged through the chaos, dodging energy blasts and weaving through the fray. The sound of battle echoed around them, and Sher's heart raced as they fought their way toward freedom. "Keep moving," Jace urged, glancing back at the Dren soldiers who were quickly regrouping. They sprinted toward the exit, determination fueling their every step. Sher's mind raced with possibilities, every second crucial. They had to escape, to warn their people, and to stop the impending attack. As they burst through the exit, the cool night air greeted them, a stark contrast to the chaos inside. "Get to the ship," Jace shouted, pushing Vaughn forward. With one last burst of energy, Sher focused her psionic abilities to create a barrier behind them, halting the Dren soldiers in their tracks. "Hurry," she urged as they raced toward the ship. They reached the vessel, and Jace quickly opened the hatch. "Inside now," he yelled, urgency filling his voice. Sher pushed Vaughn into the ship, following closely behind. As soon as they were inside, Jace sealed the hatch, and they scrambled to the cockpit. "We need to take off before they regroup," he said, his hands flying over the controls. Sher felt a rush of relief as the engines roared to life. They were escaping, but the fight was far from over. "We have to warn the council and expose Vaughn's betrayal," she declared, her heart racing with determination. As they blasted into the sky, leaving the chaos of the outpost behind, Sher knew that this was only the beginning. The truth had to come out, and they were ready to face whatever came next. Together, they would fight for their peoples, united against the darkness that threatened their worlds. A dangerous alliance. As the ship streaked through the cosmos, the glow of Zethra grew larger in the viewport. The beauty of the planet was both comforting and nerve-wracking. It was home, yet it was also the stage for a confrontation that could change everything. She felt her heart race with each passing second, the weight of the mission heavy on her shoulders. They had uncovered a terrible truth, and now they were racing against time to expose it. "Prepare for landing," Jace instructed, his focus unyielding as he maneuvered the ship through the planet's atmosphere. "We need to get to the council chambers quickly." She nodded, her mind racing with the implications of their findings. If they failed to convince the council, Vaughn's betrayal could lead to the annihilation of not only the Zion colonies, but potentially Earth as well. "We have to present our evidence clearly," she replied, determination surging through her. They need to see the truth before it's too late. As they touched down in the bustling capital city, the vibrant colors of Zephyr illuminated the surroundings, casting a warm glow over the streets filled with citizens going about their lives. But there was an underlying tension in the air, a reminder of the recent Dren attacks that had left the Zion populace shaken. She could see the fear in their eyes, and it fueled her resolve. They needed hope. "Let's move," Jace said, leading the way as they exited the ship. The imposing structure of the council chambers loomed ahead, a testament to the Zion's commitment to unity and governance. But inside, she knew, dissent and fear could easily unravel everything. As they approached the grand entrance, she could feel her stomach tighten. She had grown up respecting the council, believing in their mission to protect their people. But what if they refused to believe her? What if they sided with Vaughn? "Are you ready for this?" Jace asked, glancing at her, his eyes reflecting both concern and determination. "I have to be," she replied, steeling herself. "For my people and yours." They entered the council chambers, the large hall filled with council members seated in a semicircle, their expressions a mix of authority and skepticism. The air was thick with tension, and She could sense the undercurrents of doubt as whispers filled the room. She knew that the council was deeply divided, some were loyal to Vaughn, while others had already begun to question his motives. "Senator Vaughn," an elder member called out, his voice booming through the hall. "We have urgent matters to discuss regarding the recent attacks by the Dren and the apparent instability within our ranks." As if summoned, Vaughn stepped forward, his demeanor calm but his eyes betraying a flicker of anxiety. "Rest assured, esteemed members of the council, I have everything under control. My recent initiatives will bolster our defenses against the Dren. We must not let fear dictate our actions." She felt a surge of anger. "Senator Vaughn, your words are a facade. We have evidence that you are colluding with the Dren." Gasps rippled through the room as all eyes turned towards Cher and Jace. The council members exchanged incredulous glances, disbelief etched across their faces. "Evidence," Vaughn scoffed, a sinister grin creeping across his lips. "What evidence could a child like you possibly possess?" Without hesitation, Jace activated the holographic display, the recorded conversation streaming through the air. The council watched in stunned silence as Vaughn's voice echoed around them, detailing his plans to ally with the Dren, to exploit the weaknesses of both Zion and human civilizations. "This is outrageous," shouted a council member, his face flushed with anger. "You dare accuse Senator Vaughn without concrete proof. This recording could be fabricated." "Fabricated," She interjected, her voice steady. "The words are his. We risk our lives to bring this to you. The truth is in front of you. Vaughn is manipulating us all." Vaughn's expression twisted into one of rage. "How dare you disrupt this council with your lies? You've allied yourself with humans. Your motives are as questionable as theirs." She stepped forward, fury coursing through her veins. "I'm not here to defend humans. I'm here to protect my people and yours. The Dren are a genuine threat, and Vaughn is using them to eliminate anyone who stands in his way." As the council members shifted uneasily in their seats, the air crackled with tension. She could feel the weight of their skepticism pressing down on her. They had to convince them, and quickly. "Listen," Jace urged, his voice cutting through the murmurs. "If we do not unite against the Dren, we will all fall. Vaughn is exploiting our divisions to achieve his own ends. This isn't just a political game. This is about survival. Survival. Vaughn laughed, a cold, mirthless sound that echoed through the hall. You are naive to think you can stop me. The Dren will rise, and they will wipe out anyone who stands against them, including you. As Vaughn's threats hung in the air, Cher sensed the council members wavering. Fear mingled with uncertainty, and she knew they had to act quickly. Senator Vaughn is a traitor, she declared, her voice rising with passion. He has turned against his own people for the sake of power. We must stand together. Finally, one of the council members, an older woman with silver hair, spoke up. If what you say is true, we must conduct an investigation, but we cannot act hastily. We need more evidence. Cher felt a surge of hope, but it was quickly tempered by Vaughn's defiant gaze. I will not let this treachery stand, he shouted, stepping forward, his hands clenched into fists. I will expose you both for the liars you are. You are nothing but pawns in a game you cannot understand. Before Cher could respond, a loud crash echoed through the chamber as the doors swung open, and a group of Dren soldiers stormed in, their menacing presence sending shockwaves of fear through the room. Senator Vaughn, one of the Dren commanders, growled, his voice a low rumble. We have come for you. Panic erupted among the council members as they realized the gravity of the situation. Vaughn's facade shattered in an instant, revealing his vulnerability. What is the meaning of this? He shouted, anger and fear colliding in his voice. The Dren commander advanced, its serpentine body coiling with menace. You have failed us, Vaughn. Your assurances of loyalty have proven empty. The time for games is over. Cher and Jace exchanged glances, their hearts pounding with the implications of what was unfolding. Vaughn had aligned himself with the Dren, but now he was clearly in over his head. We have to take this chance, Cher whispered to Jace, urgency filling her voice. If we can expose Vaughn in front of everyone, it will strengthen our case. Jace nodded, determination etched across his face. We need to turn this situation to our advantage. Senator Vaughn, Cher shouted, drawing the attention of both the council and the Dren. You have allied yourself with these monsters, and now they have come to collect on your debt. The Dren commander hissed, its eyes narrowing as it regarded Vaughn. Your failure has consequences. You will no longer be of use to us. The humans must be eliminated, and so must you. Vaughn's expression shifted from anger to desperation as he realized the gravity of his situation. No, I have plans. We can still work together. But the Dren soldiers were unyielding, advancing with lethal intent. Your plans have failed. You will not deceive us any longer. Cher felt a surge of empowerment. This is your chance, council members. See what happens when you align with betrayal. Vaughn has betrayed you, and now he will be punished for it. The Dren soldiers closed in, their weapons drawn, but Cher and Jace knew they had to act. We need to secure Vaughn and make our escape, Jace said urgently, his eyes scanning for an exit. Now, Cher shouted, channeling her psionic energy as she pushed the Dren soldiers back. The force of her abilities sent the nearest ones sprawling, buying them a moment of precious time. Grab Vaughn, Jace shouted, rushing forward to seize the senator. With a swift motion, he clamped a hand around Vaughn's arm, pulling him away from the advancing soldiers. No, you can't do this, Vaughn screamed, panic creeping into his voice as he struggled against Jace's grip. Not so powerful now, are you? Jace retorted, driving Vaughn toward the exit. As the council members watched in shock, Cher led the charge toward the exit, her heart pounding. They needed to get Vaughn to safety and out of the Dren's reach. This way, she urged, guiding them through the hall. Behind them, the Dren rode in fury, their eyes fixed on the escaping trio. You will pay for this, one of the soldiers shouted, lunging forward with its weapon drawn. Cher concentrated, her psionic energy flaring as she deflected incoming blasts. The shield she created absorbed the energy, and with a wave of her hand, she sent debris crashing down in front of the pursuing Dren. "Keep moving," she yelled to Jace and Vaughn. They sprinted through the corridors, urgency driving them forward. The sound of chaos echoed behind them, but Cher couldn't afford to look back. They had to escape, had to ensure that Vaughn faced justice for his betrayal. Bursting through the exit, they emerged into the open air, the cool breeze hitting their faces like a welcome embrace. The ship awaited them, a sanctuary from the chaos of the council chambers. "Get inside," Jace shouted, urging Vaughn along. They reached the ship, and Cher quickly punched in the launch sequence as Jace pushed Vaughn into the cockpit. "Let me go," Vaughn yelled, fear etched on his face as he realized the gravity of his situation. "You have no idea what you're doing." "Actually, we know exactly what we're doing," Cher replied, determination etched across her features. "We're stopping you from bringing ruin to our worlds." With a roar, the engines ignited, and the ship lifted off the ground. As they soared into the sky, Cher felt a mixture of exhilaration and relief. They had escaped the clutches of both the Dren and Vaughn, but the battle was far from over. "We need to regroup," Jace said, his expression serious as he glanced at Vaughn, who was now seated in a chair, bound by the restraints Cher had activated. "He needs to face the council again, and this time, we'll make sure they listen." Cher nodded, her heart racing as they charted a course back to the Zion capital. The threat of the Dren loomed large, and Vaughn's betrayal had opened up a new front in the war. But together, they would confront the darkness that threatened their worlds. "Vaughn, this isn't over," Cher said, her voice firm as she turned to the senator. "You'll answer for your actions, and we'll ensure that the truth is revealed." Vaughn's expression darkened, his fear replaced by anger. "You think you can control this? You're playing a dangerous game." "Then let's see how well you play," Jace replied, determination gleaming in his eyes. "We're just getting started." With the stars stretching out before them, Cher felt a flicker of hope igniting within her. Together with Jace, they would face whatever challenges lay ahead. The fight for their worlds had only just begun.